the shanty towns of Abuja. At the weekend, armed police units backed by soldiers began demolishing the shacks in the suburbs of Jabi, Maitama, Asokoro, Gwarimpa and others, ostensibly to drive out criminal gangs and also remove ramshackle structures from the city. But sadly, demolition has meant that many poor people have become homeless with no employment prospects and no social services to speak of. What will their fate be? Well, you heard Ikaru Atta, Senior Special Assistant to the Minister of the Federal Capital Territory, earlier making the case for enforcement, and also from Adeduton Adewale from Action Aid Nigeria, an NGO that works against poverty and injustice, making the case against. And also on the program, we talked about China pledging to forgive 23 loans for 17 African countries, interest-free loans. Is this an attempt by Beijing to counter Western criticism of what's been called China's policy of debt trap diplomacy? Well, with me for the rest of the program to offer his perspective on those talking points of the day and more, I'm joined now by the journalist, policy strategist and Arise News analyst, Waziri Adio. Great to see you, Waziri. Where do you want to start? Which one do you want to start with? Perhaps we could talk first of all about the shanty towns and the fact that there is a pro and a con.
Yeah.
You know, obviously the good bit is, you know, keep the city clean, maintain the master plan, you know, get rid of criminals who are shacking up in these shanty towns. The bad part is that people are made homeless, particularly the poorest of the poor.
Well, the first place to start is that this is not new. It's been there forever. And if you are familiar with Abuja, almost every part of Abuja, whether it's Maitama, is Asokoro, is Gariki, is Wuse, Jabi, Utako, wherever you look at in Abuja, you have pockets of slums, you know, around these places, you know, and there's a legitimate concern about whether you want slums to cohabit with, you know, in a planned environment, you know. So because, you know, Abuja, like the guy said, is a planned city. It's supposed to be a model city, you know, that Nigeria can project to the world. But having said that, if you also, yes, there's a dimension now of security, and because of insecurity, there's a tendency for people to feel sometimes to go overboard. The issue we need to look at, yes, we need to keep the master plan. Yes, we need to tackle insecurity. But at the same time, we also need to interrogate why these slums exist, cheek by jowl, with all these planned places in the first instance. The fact of the matter is that the master plan itself needs to be looked at. Many people, especially those who service the well-to-do in this city, and also those who are not terribly well paid, cannot afford the kind of rent
absolutely
that people charge in this town. You know, so, and also if you want them to live in Gwagwa, you know, and Karimu and all those places, the amount of money they're going to pay on transportation is going to be
and enormous. There isn't effective transport in any case.
You know, so we need to strike a balance between making the city presentable, but at the same time accommodating the various inhabitants. We don't need only rich people to live here. The city should be for everybody. Maybe the master plan was meant for like 500,000 people. Now you have more than 2 million, or maybe even more than that. You know, so you need to. So how do we accommodate people? How do we ensure that everybody, everybody doesn't have to live in the big places, right? But there should be a plan. Yes, I listened to the guy that said, oh, government has stopped the business of building, you know, but there are all kinds of things that can be done through public partnership, where you can have all these high-rise buildings, you know, for people, you know. So, and, you know, so we need to look at that. You know, everything is not, the city is meant for people. Right, we need to look at the environment, but we also need to live about the people. And security is not just the security of the rich people,
absolutely,
of the well-to-do, but in trying to solve one problem, you have to be sure that you are not creating other problems. When you displace people, there's a social dimension, there's a human dimension to that. So yes, there's a security excuse, but that can also, when people cannot have a roof over their head, when they cannot be close to their means of livelihood, then they might have to resort to. I'm not giving an excuse for people living illegally or bastardizing the master plan, or just
yeah, but you make a legitimate point. I mean, they're doing it not because they particularly want to live on the street, but they haven't got anywhere else to go.
And it's not just, when you also go to some of these places, you'll be surprised the caliber of people who live in some of these places. Because it's not just the people who are displaced, the IDPs, because like I said, it's always been there. I've lived in Abuja since 2003. So I know that this is not something new. It's not because of insecurity all over the country that people are converging. People are coming here because there are very few places with opportunities in this country. And everybody has a right to go to where there are opportunities.
Absolutely.
So we have to strike a balance between, so how do you keep to the master plan? How do you keep the place sane? How do you make sure that people are not doing illegal things? But at the same time, how do you make sure that you make enough provisions for people so that they can have access to affordable accommodation?
That's a multi-million-dollar question. And when you ask some of these guys, they say, well, let's leave it for the next government because we're about done here. And talking about the next government, I want to be able to get to this before we get to the end of the program. The Nigerian novelist Chimamanda Adichie spoke at that Nigerian Bar Association conference on Monday. It was attended by most of the presidential candidates, and in her speech she said young people in Nigeria could not find people to look up to anymore. She said Nigerians are starved of heroes. I mean, that's been making it's gone viral on the internet and so on. Do you agree with her?
Yes and no. Yes, because people have had heroes over time and they've been disappointed, and because of that, people are how do you put it now, frustrated, and especially I guess she's talking more in terms of political heroes. And when people are looking for heroes, they're not just looking for people to idolize, they are looking for people to change their lives, to make sure that to change society and create a society, the good society that we all want to live in. But at the same time, I do not agree with her that we're starved of heroes. Chimamanda herself is a hero. There are many people who look forward to her. There are many people who take to writing because of people like her.
Yeah, but in spite of the odds, people like her become prominent. I mean, what she's saying, and you have to agree to some extent with her analysis, is that people who have very little to offer appear to always be pushed to the top in Nigeria. I mean, surely that's fairly obvious. Many people who do nothing to uplift society, or very little, and focus almost entirely on their own selfish interests. And you could make the point that it is, she's seeing it through the prism of politicians. It almost looks like the society has been fashioned to push out the least accomplished to the forefront and relegate the best.
Okay, I will address that in two ways. The first one is that there's a problem with our leadership recruitment process. So it's not just enough for you to know what to do, for you to be smart, for you to have gone to the best schools and all of that, or for you to even have some record, of achievement. You have to be ready to play the politics, or you have to be ready to, let's put it in a very less dramatic way. You have to be ready to carry some people's bags, or to lick their boots, or to promise them certain things, and all of that. So there's a problem with the way we recruit people for leadership, and that's no matter how well you do in your different spheres of of an endeavor, if the people running your society are people that should not be on your second 11 or even your third 11, then they are going to bring all of you to their level. This is what we're seeing. So politics is very important. We need to fix our politics. We need to make sure that we get the best to run our affairs. But at the same time, despite that, right, we have people, young people, that are doing tremendously well in so many fields, in the tech space, in civil society, in music, in sports, in entertainment, in literature, like Chimamanda herself. The only thing that, imagine that despite all of that, if we have a leadership that can bring all of that together, what our people are doing, look at Burna Boy, for example.
Yeah, harness all that potential.
If you can provide the enabling environment to bring all of that together,
yes,
Nigeria will not be where it is.
Well,
so that's the point where I agree with her.
I think we must look forward to, I mean, that's another reason to look forward to 2023. Hopefully, there might be change. I'd love to talk with you some more, as always, Waziri, but let's do this another day. Waziri Adio is an Arise News analyst, he's a journalist, he's a policy strategist. And that's it for this edition of Arise Prime Time. Join us again tomorrow from me and the entire team here in Abuja. Bye-bye, and thank you for watching.